In this podcast episode, Anne-Laure Le Cunff explores the pervasive struggle many people face in today's goal-driven society, the obsession with finding one's purpose, and the resulting anxiety and dissatisfaction it often breeds. She offers a refreshing perspective on how to navigate life's uncertainties, embrace experimentation, and cultivate a more compassionate and flexible approach to personal growth and fulfillment. Anne-Laure begins by addressing the common predicament of people fixating on discovering their singular life purpose. This fixation frequently leads to misery because it creates a false sense that if one hasn't yet found their true calling, their life lacks meaning or is somehow flawed. This mindset is often compounded by unhealthy comparisons to others who appear to have clear passions or directions, which only deepens feelings of inadequacy. The pressure to identify a grand, cosmic purpose can trap individuals in a cycle of frustration and self-doubt, preventing them from simply exploring and learning about themselves in a more organic way. She critiques the cultural narrative that insists on a neat, linear life story where every step must logically follow from the last. This sequel script, as she calls it, limits people to choices that make sense on paper, such as pursuing careers strictly aligned with their academic background, thereby stifling curiosity and experimentation. Alongside this, the crowd-pleaser script drives decisions based on social approval, pushing people toward impressive or socially validated projects rather than what might truly fulfill them. The most insidious is the Hollywood script, the myth that one must follow a passion so epic and impactful that anything less is failure. All these scripts externalize decision-making, outsourcing desires to past experiences, social expectations, or vague ideals of legacy, which ironically offers a false sense of control in an uncertain world. Instead of rigidly chasing a fixed purpose, Anne-Laure advocates for adopting a scientific mindset toward life. Like a researcher, one should formulate hypotheses about what might bring joy or meaning and then test these through small, manageable experiments. This approach acknowledges that humans are notoriously poor at predicting what they will enjoy or value in the future. Our preferences evolve based on experiences, relationships, failures, and growth, often in unpredictable ways. By continuously experimenting, learning from mistakes, and iterating, people can gradually uncover what resonates with them without the paralyzing pressure of having to get it right immediately. This process also counters the tendency to live out cognitive scripts, automatic, patterned responses to life's decisions, by encouraging conscious observation and curiosity. Anne-Laure emphasizes that experimentation is not about reckless trial and error, but about thoughtful, incremental exploration that respects one's current state and capacity. A significant part of the conversation delves into why uncertainty is so uncomfortable for humans. Evolutionarily, our brains are wired to reduce uncertainty because in ancestral environments, not knowing what dangers lurked or where resources were could mean death. Although modern life no longer presents such immediate existential threats, our brains still react to uncertainty with fear, anxiety, and a craving for control. This explains why people often cling to rigid routines, clear narratives, or social validation. They provide a semblance of certainty and safety. Anne-Laure shares fascinating examples, such as behavioral interventions at Heathrow Airport, where simply providing slightly overestimated wait times reduced anxiety and improved the experience. This illustrates how managing expectations and reducing uncertainty can be more effective than trying to eliminate discomfort altogether. The discussion further explores how cognitive scripts function as mental shortcuts that help us navigate daily life without overthinking every decision. While useful in mundane contexts, these scripts become problematic when applied to major life choices, such as career paths or relationships. They often lead to decisions driven by the need to maintain a coherent life story, please others, or achieve socially admired goals, rather than authentic fulfillment. Anne-Laure highlights that following these scripts is a way to outsource control and avoid the vulnerability of admitting uncertainty or confusion. This outsourcing provides comfort, but at the cost of personal agency and self-discovery. Anne-Laure introduces the concept of self-complexity, the number of distinct identities or roles a person inhabits, as a buffer against burnout and loss of motivation. People with multiple meaningful identities, e.g., entrepreneur, parent, artist, athlete, can shift focus among them, allowing some passions to rest and rejuvenate while others take precedence. This polypassionate approach contrasts with the monopassionate model, where one's entire identity is tied to a single pursuit, making disengagement or boredom feel like catastrophic failure. This flexibility enables sustained engagement over a lifetime, as individuals can cycle through interests and return to previous ones with renewed enthusiasm. The conversation also touches on the concept of liminal spaces, transitional periods marked by uncertainty, such as between jobs, relationships, or life stages. While these spaces naturally provoke discomfort, Anne-Laure encourages embracing them as opportunities for self-discovery and growth, rather than rushing to escape. Recognizing and sitting with the discomfort can reveal new directions and insights. Time anxiety, the fear of not making the most of one's limited time, is another modern affliction discussed. Anne-Laure contrasts the quantitative, linear notion of time, chronos, with the qualitative, elastic experience of kairos. She suggests that cultivating moments of deep, meaningful experience, kairos time, can alleviate anxiety by shifting focus from quantity to quality. This might mean prioritizing presence and connection over productivity metrics, even if it feels countercultural. Anne-Laure shares practical insights into managing anxiety and procrastination, such as creating pre-deadlines or accountability structures that leverage one's own behavioral tendencies rather than fighting them. She also discusses the importance of environmental design, especially around technology use, to reduce decision fatigue and promote healthier habits, like keeping phones out of the bedroom to improve sleep. The conversation acknowledges the social pressures that drive productivity addiction, where people feel compelled to prove their worth through visible output and reputation management. While some degree of signaling is natural and necessary, imbalance leads to burnout and diminished well-being. Experimentation and novelty activate the brain's dopamine system, providing rewarding experiences that fuel motivation and learning. Anne-Laure explains that habits form through repeated practice, enjoyment, and a sense of progress, though the exact timeline varies widely. Enjoyment and perceiving incremental improvement make habits stickier and more sustainable. Anne-Laure shares a personal story about her experiment with creating YouTube content, which she ultimately abandoned after realizing it was not enjoyable. This failed experiment was valuable because it freed her from uncertainty and allowed her to focus on pursuits that truly resonated. She advocates for learning in public, embracing mistakes, and being willing to revise one's views openly. The discussion briefly touches on the debunking of power poses and the nuanced role of posture in confidence and health. Regarding caffeine, Anne-Laure notes ongoing debates about its effects on cortisol and anxiety, suggesting moderation and personal experimentation. She also explains how dopamine loops in the morning can set the tone for the day, cautioning against early exposure to high-stimulation activities like social media scrolling, which can create cravings and reduce self-control later. An evolutionary hypothesis suggests that in ancestral times, dopamine priming might have helped focus on the day's specific tasks, but modern multitasking environments disrupt this mechanism.